Welcome to the March 19th, 2019 episode of Reactive Consciousness, the in-depth podcast about what happened this week in our lives. I'm your host, Pagliacci.
Wait. That can't... Isn't it Pagliacci?
No, it's Pagliacci.
Well, damn. I'm disappointed. I mean, I'm Lotus Prince. I'm also disappointed, though.
No, I'm depressed.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Like a
Vysethebold.
Yeah.
I'm
You
Vysethebold.
have to be pressed again and you will be undepressed.
What?
But I am Pagliacci.
I am Spartacus.
And this is... Who do we have with us, Lotus?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's a friendly neighborhood. Only a couple of miles away.
Yeah, right.
And an ocean. Otherwise, yeah. It's Dracologist. You know me, you love me. I'm fairly sure
all
you
of the
do.
screaming fans
Bask
outside
in
the
glory.
gates. Give them what they
Aye.
want, Dracologist. Give them what they want.
Yes, they want the contrarian.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so I do want to address here the very first thing that I want to talk about, and I don't want to talk about it long, but this is a bit of a sobering thing that I have to say, but I wanted to say a quick moment about Christchurch and what happened in New Zealand. I'm not going to elaborate much further, but I just have to throw out my condolences to the tragedy and the people that lost their lives in New Zealand. Thanks to a lot of madness, is the only thing I could say.
Yeah.
And I hope that things don't get worse. Things have been not good with the hate speech and around the world and these mass shootings, and it's very, very scary to me. I condemn it is in the very obvious sense, but I'm mostly just scared to death that people think that this is a viable thing to keep doing, and that it's okay to just hurt innocent people. This is ridiculous. The people who were there were not bothering anybody. They were just doing their own thing, wanting to do their live their lives and doing a peaceful thing at that. This is just terrible. This just falls in line with what happened at the synagogue last year, and the churches before that, in in the shootings that happened at the Baptist churches in the year before that. I just don't know what this is, and I'm really scared of it. I'm not gonna get into super detail, but I really want to tell people to watch out for the kinds of jokes that they think are funny. I know, there are plenty of people out there that, will defend this kind of thing and say, this is somebody who took, something and ran with it and was way too, extreme about it. But there's a reason why, this kind of humor, this edgelord humor, is no good, and it affects people. I used to be into this kind of stuff. I'm not talking as somebody who, has been a saint forever or anything like that. So this is a learned behavior in thinking this way. But I think, even the tamest of racist jokes is starting to wear thin on me. I don't find it funny anymore. I find goofy stuff funny, but I think I'm done with it because of stuff like this. that's a I'm gonna condemn any bit of hate that comes out anymore. I can't deal with it, and I don't want to deal with it, and I honestly don't want to deal with people that think it's okay. So that's my short bit. You guys can also say your piece, but I'm not gonna say much more other than it's very sobering to have to talk about this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm mostly going to echo what you said. Just regarding the, like, he was being edgelord humorous and took it to the extreme. That may be true, but I bet you he was just using irony as an excuse to hide that he's just a shit person. And I bet a lot of people do this. So there's, like, another reason to just cut off those kinds of, like, jokes or comments or whatever. Just, like, they're not funny, and even if people do find them funny, it's possible to be funny without being a piece of human garbage. So maybe try that next time.
I that's what I was getting at. I think you clarified me better, because I was just speaking with the heart and in my emotions.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been an escalation, but it was probably just a garbage person disguising that he was a garbage person.
Absolutely. Dracologist, do you have anything to say on it?
Yeah, I hope he's going to rot in prison, and whatever his intention, like, I hope that aside from the current events, that none of his intentions will come to fruition. That it's basically terrorism to an extent, and it will never going to affect everyone. Everyone is going to just ignore him to death.
And don't give him the attention he wants.
Well, that's just it. Yeah, like I wish they would. That is to say, what Dracologist said. I wish they would just like let these people wither in obscurity, because to acknowledge them, especially publicly, is to give them exactly what they want.
Having said that, that's all I want to say about this, because I could go on and I could get very political, and I don't want to. But most of all, at the highest level, I think this just really sucks. Yeah. And it scares me. I hope people realize, how devastating this was. I'm glad also that, New Zealand took it seriously too.
Yeah, what a concept, right?
Well, maybe it's easier in a smaller country or whatever, but in less than a day, a huge part of their population, it was what, 50 people, 49 people?
I want to say 49, yeah.
49 people. That's a lot of people for New Zealand. So just think about that. And these nobody ever expects it in that country for something like this to happen. So anyway, I said my piece. You know how I feel. Our audience, I hope, understands our intentions here. When I want to just express how hurt I was by seeing this. So that's all I have to say. If anybody else has any final comments.
No, that about wraps it up, I think, or I should say sums it up effectively.
Okay.
Let's place our flowers, light our candles, and move on.
Yeah. But this is a kind of a funny segue into it, but James Gunn is actually back as director of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, that was pretty amusing. Oh, you know what's funny, by the way, is not only is he back with Guardians of the Galaxy 3, but I also saw that he's going to be directing a Suicide Squad movie, which is a reboot of Suicide Squad, because they were like, already. Fuck that. Yeah, it's been 5 minutes. No, fuck the whole thing. What's funny, though, is that, like, the comments I saw, because apparently the new Suicide Squad movie is going to be called, like, this is what they do with every reboot.
Suicide Squad.
What? Yeah, they either add or remove the, depending on what came first. So it's this. So, like, some of the comments were great. Like, my favorite one was, So what are we then? Some kind of the Suicide Squad? I was like, yes. It's fantastic.
That lightened me up a little bit here. So I have to say that while I don't condone the circumstances in which he got fired originally for this film. He was doing that edgelordy humor that we were talking, kind of edgelordy humor that we were talking about before. But it happened a long time ago.
That is true. But I would say what's more important than that, though, is that
he grew as a person.
Well, yeah, like he actually expressed remorse for it, because a lot of things happened a long time ago and we're only just discovering them now, and we're like, oh shit, I've been supporting this person this whole time, but like he's actually like
he didn't try to weasel out of it too. He totally admitted it.
Yeah, it was like, yeah, I fucked up. I thought it was it was like, this is the stupidest fucking comparison to make, but it was like that scene in Billy Madison where it was exactly like Billy Madison.
Wow, I'm glad I called that guy.
Well, no, that was exactly it. Yeah, he calls up Steve Buscemi and he's like, I said things that at the time I thought were funny, but now I realize they were just immature and stupid. So like, dumbest fucking comparison I'm gonna make today, but it is. It's not far off.
Now we're all dumber for having heard it.
You were awarded no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
But selfishly, the Guardians movies are my favorites in the Marvel franchise. I actually just saw Captain Marvel, which was quite good. I can confirm.
You can confirm.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know last week you said I'm going to see it, so now you have seen it.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it quite a bit, and I thought it was one of the better solo releases as of recent. I thought it was better than Doctor Strange, for instance. So I really enjoyed it. I thought it had a good message, and I thought Samuel L. Jackson was really good in it. And Brie Larson was great too. It had a good message all around. It's kind of funny. The movie, like, I feel like was made in response to its Twitter comments.
Yeah, right.
Even though the Twitter comments came after it being made.
Well, that was the thing. They probably knew it was going to happen, because this is, I believe, the 21st MCU movie, so there have been 20 Marvel movies starring not women. So, like, someone's going to piss and moan about when they finally do.
The movie was very obviously feminist. Very obviously.
It's not that it's the female lead or not female lead. We had lots of female lead movies that were good. It's just that there were things were said that should have not been said. And just let the fun happen, and without this sort of ideological nonsense constantly injected.
Well, you know what was funny is they actually have a part in the movie where like a guy hits on her and asks her to smile, which I thought was hilarious considering the bullshit that I see on Twitter all the time.
Yeah, this has been going on for years and years and years and years. So it's like, it's not like, man, how did they know that would come up? It's like, it has come up. No, but
like that stuff was specifically going around.
It's
very
on the nose.
Yeah, no, and it's just funny to me that they're playing right into it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're confirming, what the criticism against them. You know what I mean?
On one hand, this might date the movie, but on the other hand, like, it's a very, like, refreshing middle finger.
I think sexism will be along for a good long time. I don't think it's going anywhere, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I don't think we're in the midst of eradicating it in any way.
Yeah, but the best way to deal with this kind of thing, though, is to like throw it in people's faces until they just get used to it. That's how everything works.
No. You never throw things into people's faces, because even if it would be good, they would be just angry because you throw them into your face.
Well, not so much not so much
ignoring them's the best thing. Really.
Well, no, but I mean, like, the presence must be known. Like, people have to get used to it somehow.
Yeah, but at any rate, I was talking about Guardians. Guardians is my favorite of the Marvel movies. Mostly because I think it's helmed by one guy, as opposed to like a committee approach. James Gunn took terrible characters. Like, those characters were not popular in any sense of the word. And that's why he had so much to work with. He didn't have so much like continuity baggage because nobody cares about their continuity.
Yeah.
People care about Luke Skywalker's and Spider-Man's and Darth Vader's continuity, but nobody gives a damn about Rocket Raccoon's continuity. I mean, really, Yondu's continuity. So he took some characters that nobody loved and made them the most beloved. If you ask me, everybody loves Groot. Everybody loves Rocket. Everybody loves Yondu now. Because Yondu stole the show in the last movie.
Dark horses, I think, is the other term.
Yeah.
Underdog or dark horse.
That's true.
Yeah, so selfishly, I was sad to see him fired for the last movie, and he writes and directs all of them. He had already finished the script for the third movie and sold it to Disney, so he just had to direct it. I love all of the actors in these movies too, so I can't wait for the third one. So I'm glad that he's back on. I thought I had resigned myself to never see that movie, so it's pretty cool.
Do you think after Guardian Galaxy 3, he's going to go back to direct another game with Suda 54, 52 or 51?
You know what? Dracologist is of course referring to Lollipop Chainsaw. Lollipop Chainsaw.
I forgot that he had a part in that.
Yeah. James Gunn is a brilliant scriptwriter to begin with. I loved movies he made before this. I was a big fan of Slither. Not just because of him, but because what's his name from Castle?
Nathan Fillion.
Nathan Fillion. I'm a big Nathan Fillion fan. So, but yeah, James Gunn is pretty all right. I didn't watch his Trauma output, so don't hold me to that. But I'm sure it's just like every other Trauma film, disgusting and entertaining, I guess.
Yeah, I've only seen 2 Trauma movies, but like I didn't know what to expect, but they were pretty entertaining. I saw the first Toxic Avenger and Beware Children at Play, which that ending, wow, dude.
I have the 4 Toxic Avenger movies from back in my high school days when I was collecting.
But do you have a collection of the Toxic Crusader children's show?
It has 1 episode included with it.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it does.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, you're on your way.
Just like the Beetlejuice Blu-ray has the first episode included with it. But
that's great.
But yeah, I'm glad he's back. And we'll move on here because there's plenty of other juicy stuff to speak about. So Judge Eyes, or the Japanese version of Judgment, had its sales halted in Japan because one of the voice actors of one of the gang bosses.
He was one of the captains in one of the Yakuza family. It was like, this isn't going to mean anything to anybody who doesn't know the Yakuza series, but it was a subsidiary of the Tojo clan. The Tojo clan's a big deal in the main Yakuza games.
Yeah. So this is confirmed part of the universe, right?
Yeah, like you don't know who this character is, but he has a tangential reference to an organization that you may know.
Yeah, but he was busted for cocaine possession.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, Japan is so fucking intense about this stuff. Like,
they don't mess around.
Like, something similar happened with Yakuza 4. It turned out that the actor was innocent of what he was accused of, but the damage was already done. There in Yakuza 4, there are 4 playable characters, and one of them is a police officer. And this was the actor who had come under fire at the time. And so in the PS4 remaster for Yakuza 4, they're like replacing his face with that of some other actor, which is a big deal. Like, this is not a PS1 game where you put a texture on a face and it's over.
Sure.
Like, you're redoing a face, which means tons of scenes.
Lots of work.
Things. So for Judge Eyes or Judgment, it's going to be a similar thing. So, like, we don't know if this is going to halt development in the West, but I think that Japan has stopped sales.
They stopped sales. It was already on sale, we should say.
Yes.
Maybe he was just trying to get into character.
Yeah, people are actually
that's what he was doing.
copies of the game are going for a lot of money in Japan, over $100 now.
Yeah, well, it's just like Rule of Rose. It was released in the UK and then banned, so it's fucking expensive.
Now, there's no way that Sega will rest and like not this is one of their big series in Japan.
They'll redo his face again. Although I should point out, by the way,
and his voice is the.
I was just going to say, like, apparently this guy voiced Olaf the Snowman in Japanese Kingdom Hearts 3.
Oh, that's a big thing. Yeah.
And they patched him out with someone else's voice. Like, these guys are fucking.
And Frozen 2's coming out soon, so he probably would have been in Frozen 2, the movie.
If he was in the game, then yeah, probably.
I think he's just straight up Olaf in Japan. So
okay, yeah, well, so nope, like yeah, they do not. I mean, we were already like 3 times, but they really don't mess around.
Oh, maybe this is why he was doing blow. I can't take this anymore.
I didn't mean that kind of snow.
Let it blow. Let it blow. Yeah. But anyway, I should say this. A really good article for our readers to read is there was a really good article posted on Kotaku by Brian Ashcraft, who is their Japanese editor. He posted a lengthy article about why drugs are so taboo in Japan. Mostly because of Western involvement, as you might guess, but back in the in the occupation period after World War II. But it's a really good explanation of the way that things are. As I said this last week, Japan has something like a 99% conviction rate or higher. So when they arrest you, they mean business, and you most likely have done something. So, it's kind of funny for you to tell me that, the actor from 4 actually was found innocent because that, not guilty. Was found not guilty.
Apparently, like, it was all good, but like. But
he'd already had his life ruined.
Now you're a story, so like, so the guy's probably professionally screwed anyway, which sucks.
Yeah, I mean, people have probably had their entire lives ruined by accusations like that. So, and here we expect famous people to do drugs. I mean, it's just a fact of life. So I
know that.
Not surprised by it.
A small, rather grim part that I know that in Korea, like I think in South Korea, you can the police will execute you on spot if they find anything.
No, it's the Philippines. It's the Philippines that's known for that.
I heard in Korea too.
Oh, okay. Well, this is serious business in Japan. Your entire career is and public life is ruined if something like this comes out. It's a huge scandal. So, the article that I read says that they even companies will spite themselves in order to save face. They'll lose lots of money in order to save face in light of a scandal like this. Unlike they don't just pull advertising and things like that. They'll scrap entire projects. Due to stuff like this, to spite themselves, to show that they are sympathetic with
taking the issue seriously and everything.
Taking the issue seriously, exactly. So I'll move on from that. There is another serious issue here that I think Lotus wanted to take the reins on.
This is unreal. So like going back to
this is so sad. This is real. This hurts my soul.
So going back to limited run games, right? I like talking about them. Well, they're coming out with a release on what system? They've been doing the PS4 and the Switch a lot lately. I mean, because duh. They don't do Microsoft, like they don't do Xbox games because Microsoft requires a very high amount of discs to be bought if they're gonna sell them, like a very high amount. So it's just they're not. It's like
doesn't make sense.
Amounts. So like fuck it. So PS4 and Switch, fine, but they're coming out with a Wii U release, and this isn't being like cute. Like Stranger's Wrath for the PS3. Like, hey, we're doing PS3. Bet you didn't see that one coming. we should have gotten the Wii U release of Axiom Verge a long time ago, especially because this seems really superfluous.
It was part of the Kickstarter, right?
Maybe, but like there were no physical releases of Stranger's Wrath except for on the original Xbox. So PS3 was interesting, Vita was interesting, but Axiom Verge has been released physically on a bunch of stuff, like PS4, Switch, I'm aware of, Vita, I'm aware of. That pretty much covers everything, right? I don't think there was a physical Xbox One release, was there?
No, I don't think so.
Not that I'm aware of. So, like, fucking Wii U, like, are they being hipsters? This is a system nobody cares about anymore.
There hasn't been a Wii U release that I can think of in over a year.
It's a handheld gem, I think.
Yeah.
Even if I played it on PC, but
yeah, it's a brilliant game. Oh yeah, speaking of which, it had a physical PC release as well, but that was another limited producer. That was Indie Box, but
I would buy it just for the art book.
Yeah.
Because,
yes.
Like
the art's beautiful.
Tom Happ has like almost H.R. Geiger like art for.
I've seen some of it. It looks just gorgeous. But regarding the Wii U, why the fuck the Wii U? Well, it turns out we were actually supposed to have this release a long time ago when it would have been more relevant. But that's not what happened for a very interesting reason. So, like, limited run games, like, not the limited run games accounts, but, like, the accounts of the people who run it, so, like, Josh Fairhurst and, like, people like that, they had been alluding that they, like, some company owed them a bunch of money, there might be a lawsuit, and we're like, what? And, like, nobody had any idea what they were talking about because this is such a dated thing. But it turns out that it was for not the developers of Axiom Verge, but this other distributor. So I had found a link where
it's like a Spanish
Spanish distributor. I believe they're the people. Badland. They're the people who released Velocity 2X, which, by the way, beautiful release. If you've seen it in store shelves, like, it's actually gorgeous. Like, these guys do quality work. But the problem with this is that regarding Axiom Verge for the Wii U, the limited run games people were talking to them, and they said they would like take care of this this business for them and all that stuff. They had an arrangement with Badland here, but things definitely fell through here. I'm trying to see if I can't find the more.
I'll specify.
Yeah, because I have a Twitter account.
The developer of Axiom Verge is one guy.
Tom Happ.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he made a deal. The reason why he went with Badland was a very specific reason. They gave him a very specific deal compared to all the other publishers. He had a lot of publishers that wanted to publish this game physically because it's popular and it has a very great word of mouth and it's very critically acclaimed. Mm-hmm. So he went specifically with Badland because they promised to set up a custodial account for his special needs son.
Yeah.
And they were supposed to put in trust something like $200,000 for his care because everything that he needs, he has a very rare condition where basically none of it is ever covered by any insurance. So he needs experimental procedures and medical care in order to live properly. And they have absconded and not provided those funds for the child, which they promised.
Not only that, though, but that was like, all of this is the main reason, but this is actually part 2 of why I had heard about this in the first place. Because Limited Run Games had said that they had done a deal with Badland, and but then Badland went into radio silence for like 6 months, and Limited Run Games is like, so when are we going to get like the money that you owe us for this deal we've had, which was like around $78,000, and there's just been silence, and then they would come back after several months and say like, oh yeah, we're working on it, and then disappear for several more months.
Here's another thing. They published something in the meantime that took $100,000 to
Well, that's
publish.
what I was going to say, is that it was heavily assumed that they're using the money that they owe Limited Run Games to cover their other costs. So Limited Run Games filed a lawsuit against Badland, and the thing is, at the time that I had read about this, people in a Discord chat that I was part of were rightfully saying, well, okay, we're only hearing one side of the story here. Like, maybe Limited Run Games are showing some sort of bias. Not, they wouldn't lie about this, but but what about Badland? But the thing is, then, this isn't Tom Happ's own account, but Dan Edelman, who is, like, an indie game, like, he's, like, one of the business guys for Axiom Verge. He came out and he was like, yep, also this, and then said pretty much what Vice already said about the more personal situation with the Axiom Verge devs. So now that the Axiom Verge is coming out, like, LRG is acknowledging they are pretty much guaranteed to take a loss on the sales of this thing, but they're like, we're going to do the thing, we're still going to have a working relationship with the Axiom Verge people, but Badlands fucked over, like, both of them.
Yeah, and this is particularly disgusting. The developer of Axiom Verge has been, from all accounts, a really, really heck of a nice guy. Yeah. On top of everything. Oh, yeah. I've heard interviews with him. People have nothing but good things to say about him. And they... Not only that, but that barely has anything to do with it, but they're screwing over somebody who really needs this money in order to live.
Yeah.
And a disadvantaged person, you know. I talk about kicking somebody while they're down. His child already has things to overcome. Yeah. And he was able to, was fortunate to be able to have the skill and talent to make such a good game to help out with his life and his child's life, and to get screwed over like this in such a disgusting way is really heartbreaking.
Yeah, and by the way, I should throw in one more thing, like icing on the cake. We're recording this podcast on March 18th. And this Twitter thing blew up on the 15th, so just 3 days ago from the time of this recording. In the comments section, after Dan Edelman made his 14-part thread on what happened, which has since been put on articles, this one of the people responding in the comments section said, I'm working with this company I worked with, not Badland, but I worked with another company to score this behind-the-scenes documentary. And he said, Badland approached me to create a documentary soundtrack with additional content for the Wii U version. I completed this back in Q1 2018. Is this going to be included or what? And then Dan Edelman, the business guy for Axiom Verge, was like, this is the first I've heard of this. It's like, so he's like, hit me up with an email or whatever. But it's like, Jesus Christ, like, Badland is royally fucked up.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
It seems to me like this. They didn't properly budget for the account.
I doubt this was malicious. They just fucked it up.
I'm not entirely sure about that, because there's always potential for things like big bonuses to be paid out to higher ups. In a company like that, they see how much money they're bringing in, thinking, oh, well, we'll make up that 200 eventually, rather than doing it up front like they should be doing.
That's true.
So, and maybe they didn't sell through, some other limited releases that they did, and, they were put in a bad bind because of it, and, they just took too much and spent too much in the meantime.
Yeah.
I think it's just mismanagement, but it's really, they sued, I think, Tom Hatt, he said he successfully sued them.
Yeah, so again, that's both sides. Well, not again, but that's both sides suing Badland.
They successfully sued them and won their suit, but they still haven't been paid back. Yeah. And it's ridiculous, the whole thing. And they were like, oh, well, can we put you on a payment plan to pay you back? And they're like, no, you got to go by the court document, which tells us that we need it this way, or else we violate the settlement that we made.
I mean, if we wanted to agree with Badlands' own terms of payment, then that's exactly what put them into the situation in the first place.
Yeah, they're a bunch of assholes. So anyway, I'll move on from this because it sickens me, but there's plenty of other things to talk about here. So in light, we have some lighter topics from here on out. One of my big favorite games for the Xbox 360. This was a game that
Blinks the cat, right?
that really launched launched Xbox Live as a premium.
Balloon fight.
What was that?
Balloon fight.
Yeah. Urban Champion.
Diversity ransom.
Stop it. I brought you into this world, I'll bring you out.
Jesus.
Into his podcast, you mean?
No.
What?
Hi, son. So anyway. So this game really cemented Xbox Live as a premium indie game service, and one of the very first indie games to really take hold. This was even before Steam really had this kind of stuff. But Castle Crashers is coming to Switch with all of its content from before. I'm hoping that they add some stuff because the game is pretty old at this point. But I'm always happy to see it. I love Castle Crashers.
Castle Crashers came out like when we were in college, right? So
that's correct.
It's got to be like over 10 years old.
I think it is 2009 release, something like that. If that sounds right.
So about 10, yeah.
Yeah. No, that sounds right. This game was like one of the reasons why I bought my Xbox 360. I bought it for BioShock and Castle Crashers. I bought it for a $15 game at the time. So I mean, but back then we weren't getting beat 'em ups, and not like a premium beat 'em up with tons of characters and playable characters, tons of levels, an RPG progression system and multiplayer. That was like a dream. Plus a really good sense of humor from Newgrounds people.
Newgrounds and humorous, I think, is not. Let's just say it's not my type of humor.
It hasn't aged well. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
But at the time it was hilarious. But not so much anymore. But I still love Castle Crashers for what it is and what it did. And it's still a fantastic game. So I'm really glad that it's coming out on Switch. That's going to be a really good portable game. And this is another thing. This is a huge news. When I saw this this basically happened right after our announcement on Thursday, or our podcast on Thursday. Halo Master Chief Collection is coming to PC via two different stores, both the Microsoft Store and Steam Store. So this is huge. What?
What does the Master Chief Collection entail, actually?
It's Halo 1 through 5 plus ODST and Reach,
not
right?
5. Not 5.
Not 5? Okay.
So it's Halo, not 4 either, I don't think.
Wow.
It's Halo 1 through 3, ODST, and Reach.
Yeah, I think they were going in chronological order, right? Wasn't like ODST or Reach going to be released first?
Reach is going to be released first.
I would say that I would take just Halo 2 and that's it.
Well, Halo 2 is also a big deal because it had a PC version back in the day, but it's like unplayable today.
For the Vita.
Yeah. So I was going to get at this. Halo has not been on PC since Halo 2, and Halo 2 is Vista exclusive. Even now, it's still Vista exclusive. It was never patched to work with anything but Windows Vista, so it's unplayable now. And Halo 1 was not the best port either, so they added a couple things, but it was really buggy. But this will be like the anniversary editions, so this will be good stuff. So it will have the improved visuals. When Halo 1 and 2 come out, they will have their up-resed visuals, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, Halo Reach is being added to the Master Chief Collection on the Xbox One finally. It was before it was considered just a backwards compatible game. It was not part of the collection. But it is being added, and they're going in reverse chronological order. And there's good reason for it. They're making sure that the infrastructure works with the toughest games. So I think that's pretty cool. So this is awesome. This will give PC players all around the world a chance to play some of my favorite multiplayer experiences. I loved Halo back in high school and college. I really loved playing Halo, and I always have really loved those games. So, and not only that, but these are Microsoft exclusives that were most of these games were exclusive to just the Xbox brand. So it's really, really cool that Microsoft seems to be going multi-platform. Everything has been indicating as such, but they've been following through on it, which is really, really neat. I know this series isn't for everybody, but it is a first-person shooter that plays really, really well and is a lot of fun to play.
Well, it's one of the first games that used the two-weapon slot system with quick melee bash and such.
Yeah, and it just felt fun. It has kind of a snappy system when it comes to auto-aiming, that kind of thing.
I only played it on PC. I don't know what this auto-aim thing you're talking about.
I just don't understand why the Halo series ripped off of Red vs. Blue.
The beginning of
What
machinima.
if we could do Red vs. Blue, but in the first person? There's a good idea.
Oh, and I was slightly wrong. This comes with Halo Anniversary, Halo 2 Anniversary, Halo 3, and Halo 4. So it does.
Okay.
It just doesn't have 5. So 5 is the only one that will be Xbox One exclusive still.
343 Studios is a little pet project.
Well, no, they made 4 as well. Bungie stopped with Reach. Reach was the last one Bungie made.
And that is why I'm saying that Halo 4 is 343's work.
Yeah, it is. So 5 is the only one left to be exclusive, but I'm sure that will come in time. This is pretty cool. I think it's just pretty awesome. So let's see, what else do we have this week? Oh, this was really neat. So this gives me a little bit of something to talk about here. So Takahashi Meijin, famed employee of Hudson Soft, and also the inspiration for the Adventure Island games.
Yeah.
He is the real-life Master Higgins in Japan. He's just called Takahashi Meijin, and that's his name in Japan. He's very famous for being able to play Star Soldier and being able to shoot 12 times in a second, I believe, in that game. Yeah, so...
Button Mash King.
Yeah, he could play shmups better than anybody at the time. So he was very famous with kids all over Japan for being like a hero of an expert gamer kind of guy. But he was a former employee of Hudson Soft, so he has a lot of history with the series. I still think he works as a consultant or like a brand ambassador for Konami, for the Hudson games that they have. But he found while searching through his stuff a copy of a Lost Bomerman game. And not just any Lost Bomerman game, but it's a game called High 10 Bomerman.
This is ridiculous.
This game is insane. It was only ever played at like special events, but it was a 10-player Bomerman before the Saturn.
Yeah.
The Saturn version came out, and get this, it was one of the very first high-definition games before you could buy actively buy a high-definition display.
Yep.
They had a high-definition display to play this game specifically. They must have special ordered it, or they only made this kind of thing for special events. It must have cost a fortune. But they had a 10-player Bomerman game that was running off of custom hardware, which from all accounts seems to be two PC engines linked together with a CD attachment. So they don't have the hardware, mind you, but they do have the disc now, and everybody. This only ever existed in like pictures and videos of the time during those events. So we had historical information and proof that this game existed. However, nobody had any way of playing it or anything like that. Everybody thought it was lost because it wasn't something that was sold. So it's really, really, really cool.
So are they going to just put it, like, pull out the ROM into some editor and refurbish it up to date?
So, good question. So, Takahashi Meijin actually was able to get this to Frank Cifaldi. I've been talking about him a lot, of Digital Clips and Backbone Entertainment. He's the guy who, I'll reiterate, that has made the SNK 40th Anniversary Collection. Mm-hmm. He spearheaded these projects. He didn't make them himself, but he did the Disney Afternoon Collection for Capcom and Mega Man Legacy Collections 1 and 2. So he is one of the biggest proponents of film archive or video game archiving that we have, and one of its biggest advocates. So he gets these things to the right people so that they can be preserved online. So probably he knows somebody within No Intro and the ROM set people, good sets and all that stuff, if you know the terminology. But he apparently sent him the disc so it could be preserved. So keep in mind, it's very unlikely that we'll ever see this playable. But maybe we could take a look and poke around at things, because it was programmed for very particular hardware that no longer exists. But it's still pretty cool. Really cool. And stuff like this, we always think we'll never get a chance to see.
Yep.
So, really cool stuff. The only other... this is another thing. Windjammers 2 had its alpha footage finally put out. The gameplay, take a shot, everybody. Yeah. This from our long-term listeners here. But the alpha footage was finally revealed from .emu, and the gameplay looks fantastic. I don't know.
It looks like Windjammers.
It not only that, but it just has new characters that look like they belong there. It looks like it's very much in the spirit of the game.
I was actually just gonna say, like, they're new characters, but they're still radical 90s, which is funny to me.
And it's cool. They move around neat. Like, they have that big fat guy that like rolls around like a ball, which is really cool.
That's the only logical way.
I remember Disciples 2, the big imps did that. They rolled around their sides.
But like the kid from Hook.
Just like that. I completely forgot about that, actually.
I do remember that. Wanted to say quickly, and I keep forgetting. These are the Reptile Soft's their game, Lethal League 2.
Oh, okay.
Is a good successor
Lethal League,
of that.
yeah.
They also get an update with a new character.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just very happy that they're treating this game with some respect.
Honestly, if I'm allowed to continue on, if my biggest wish would be if Reptile Game would make online multiplayer part for their first game, Megabyte Punch.
Oh yeah, that would be cool. That would be cool.
That would be amazing, because it's basically build your own little robot game with what is it called? Super Smash Bros. Like combat, but at the same time like level based cooperative game is also is the main game.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm just happy that .emu is doing a good job. I think they had a hand in the Wonder Boy remake as well. And also the Pang remake, the Buster Brothers remake, and those were both very, very, very good. The Wonder Boy Dragon's Trap was very, very good. I really enjoyed that remake. So it seems like they've been doing well with their standalone releases. I wasn't ever really a big fan of .emu's emulation. They usually have some pretty shoddy releases of Neo Geo games and things like that. I wasn't ever a huge fan of their releases, so I always kind of shied away from it when I saw their name. But their original titles have been doing really well, and they're also making Streets of Rage 4, which looks good so far. So far, so good. So. I'm excited. I mean, I'm even more excited. I'm glad that I'm validated. I just hope that the gameplay's good, you know. But it looks good. It looks snappy. And you know how big a fan we are of Windjammers. Geez, I imported a Dojin sequel twice. Yeah. Because I was such a big fan.
That game's freaking great too.
Yeah, with all of the Windjammers fandom out there. Crazy Power Disc doesn't really get any love. Nobody talks about it. I don't think they know about it.
Well, really. I was gonna say, who the hell would know about it?
Well, I mean, this is the internet. Who knows? But
does anyone plays Logjammer?
Logjammer? Oh, you know what? I never played that, but it looked like fun. But anyway, I think that'll wrap it up for this week. I do want to quickly say that I am looking forward to the release of Sekiro. We will be talking about it more on Thursday with our upcoming podcast, but on Corrective. So definitely tune in for that, and I hope you enjoy the game. I hope it's good when it comes out on Thursday. So that will be the show for this week, unless you guys have any last things to talk about.
No, I think that about covers it.
No, we can wrap up.
Get on with it.
Get on with it.
Please remember to subscribe to the Corrective Consciousness YouTube and Soundcloud pages. While there, please give us thumbs ups, likes, and 5-star ratings on iTunes. It helps promote and spread awareness of the show, and any bit of encouragement helps keep the show going. You can also catch us on Thursdays for our sister podcast, Corrective Consciousness, the podcast about where we explore the inanity of pop culture. Finally, you can friend me as Pagliacci on, vysethebold on Steam, PSN, Xbox Live, Twitter, Switch, and Battle.net.
And you can follow me on my YouTube channel, Lotus Prince. You can hit me up on Twitter at Lotus Prince. And finally, if you are interested in seeing my videos early, getting in on exclusive live streams, selecting upcoming games for me to Let's Play, I'm currently doing The Suffering. And get involved in conversations with me and other patrons on Discord, then perhaps consider swinging by my Patreon account, which can be found at patreon.com/LotusPrince.
And you can find me on Skype, on Steam, and on Discord at Lair of the Crocus World, and now at Castles at Orman.
All right. Well, we will catch everybody on Thursday for a new episode of Corrective. Catch you then.
Until next time, everyone.
Good night.
Night.